Alright, so this is the matchup guide for Gardevoir. I'm just going to quickly run through the matchups. No fancy graphic this time because I am in Puerto Rico right now. I just got finished getting 9th at the Puerto Rico special event with Gardevoir. So I thought I'd do a quick updated Paldea Evolve matchup guide. We'll start by talking about the Gardevoir Mirror because that is going to be the matchup you probably play the most. I mean, Lost Zone might be more popular than Gardevoir in all variants, but yeah, just a straight matchup. Gardevoir is the most popular, so yeah. How do you play the Gardevoir Mirror? So there's lots of ways to play it. So it's just thinking about the different situations you have. So if you're like obviously going first versus going second, or who gets the first attack. The matchup basically comes down to who gets the first attack, and because can the player who gets the second attack make up by taking a 2-prize knockout at some point in the game. So if you're going first to get the first attack, you have 2 ways to play it. You can either like spend the whole game trying to set up for one turn where you go boss kill Gardevoir, but that can be difficult sometimes. So the main way I think is the best to play it is just killing dry engines. In basically almost either way. If you're going first, on turn 2 you should attack with Gardevoir EX. It's better than attacking with Cresselia, because if it doesn't die, like they kind of have to Cresselia you back, and then they've Cresselia'd first, which is they spread out their energies more first, so when they Cresselia, you can Cresselia. And then it's kind of more difficult for them to like keep their energies spread out, because to give their energies like consolidated in one spot, because you have the first attack, they have to attack with Gardevoir EX at some point, so it's going to be really difficult for them to actually like find a way to kill a Gardevoir EX throughout the game most of the time. And otherwise, so like you can like go around their Pokemon with energies as well, and like killing Ralts with no energy instead of killing Kirlia with energy. I've bossed Rating Greninja sometimes this matchup to just knock it out, but other times you're just going to kill the Dry Engines and Iono them, because like when they have to re-recover Dry Engines, it becomes super annoying for them. It's usually hard for them to set up to kill a Guardia like really early, and if they do, then you just like start setting up to kill the Guardia yourself, and then just like start retreating energies. Maybe you can attack with Arcana. So you can set up for like Zacian boss. That's how you want to finish the game, and if you're losing, you have to do it. So, yeah, and that's basically it. So if you're ahead, just like keep in mind that you're not really trying to do anything fancy. You're just trying to like avoid them from taking care of like killing Dry Engines and Iono. Play around Iono for sure. Iono is super strong. And this is why I think that this matchup is the reason why I think running as much consistency as possible is the best. Because you get turn 2 Candy Guardi going first, you get put in a really good spot. Because generally their board's worse than yours at that point. Like, you're just in such a good spot because your prize up and your board is generally better if you're the Candy Guardi. So, because you get to take a Pokemon off their board on the second turn, which can be annoying for them. We're generally the Mew, but that's okay. I'm going to talk about Lost Zone second because I think that's the second most important matchup for Gardevoir right now. Yeah, so Lost Zone, the idea is basically you're just trying to consolidate your board to only evolved Gardevoirs ASAP. And while it's obviously not easier said than done, if you get games where you just start ahead and you just get ahead, like they're not able to start knocking out your Ralts super early with Sableye. Like if you're gonna get to like evolving before you get to Sableye, then that's good. I think, you're just trying to go for Candy Guardian in this matchup as well. Generally, I think it's best to, you just attack with Candy Guardian on turn 2. Ideally, you would like to attack with 200 with the 40 damage on it, but if you have to attack with Candy Guardi with 60 damage on it as well, it's still worth it because they Dragonite. Then you can just kill the Dragonite back with maybe Arcana, and that's generally fine. Or Zacian's also fine, because then they have to like trade back, and then you can Iono and make it so they can't have no easy ways to take prizes. Sacking Manaphy past a certain point is good. Collapse is ridiculous in the matchup because you can just get like your Mew off the board, which is super good. And really, in this matchup, the thing that, if I had to tell you to focus on one thing, is literally just count the Pokemon on your board and the amount of prizes they have. Because if they get to the point where they have to kill a Guardi EX, that's when it becomes difficult for the Lost Zone player to win. And that's when Iono is like crippling for them. Also, you want Artisan out of play as soon as possible. Always insta-bump Artisan. Don't play your own Artisan usually. Just get out of play. You need out of play. This is the matchup where Artisan is the worst. Because you don't want them to be able to easily recover Sableyes through your Iono chains. And obviously you're spamming Iono. That's like the main thing in this matchup. It depends what they're playing. Like if they're playing Sableye, it's generally pretty easy. Just like, I don't know, play around their attacks and you'll be fine. But Yeah, I guess it's the main. That's the main thing. Cresselia is ridiculous. Your best play turn two is to Cresselia. If you can hit it, is to just Candy Guardy Cresselia on their cram turn, because then it's difficult for them to do it. Especially Iono. You Iono them to 5 and Cresselia, they're comfy. It's so difficult these days for Gardevoir. It's like it's the same thing with Judge in the last format, but it's just easier now because of Iono. You don't have to hit the Judge, which is the difficult part. And yeah. I guess that's really mainly it. And like, it's pretty good if you attack with Guardy and then you just go into Cresselia and like you start to slowly get the damage off your Guardy X's. And also like powering up Arcanas just so you can attack with them with 0 damage on them is super good. Play around Echoing Horn, Super Rod your Pokemon back, don't forget. Especially against Kyogre. The easiest way to tell if they're Kyogre is if you see the 3rd Lightning Energy, then they're definitely Kyogre. So that's something to keep in mind. Pokestop as well, they should be Kyogre if they play Pokestop. And sorry, if they're playing Kyogre, yeah, I mean, you really need to be focusing on Aeronos, but that's not... But also, you can just start to get damage off your guys and leave them with not many Pokemon in play, and then, yeah, get through Echoing Horn. Echoing Horn is super good from Lost Zone against Guardy if they don't Super Rod, so you got to be playing around. Like, if you play Super Rod, just put the extra Pokemon back. If you're going to play Super Rods, you like get back an Arcana that you discarded or something, just get the extra Pokemon back. Giratina Lost Zone. So with Giratina, I think that you have to be scared of Path Iono and Path Roxanne. Those are the main things to keep in mind. Like, don't just slam down your stadiums. Like, a lot of the time, you don't even need to collapse away, like, damage. So, damage Greninja is usually best to collapse away, but not, like, a Mew or something, because the deck really isn't that threatening. And so, their main win con, they have 2 win cons, I think. If they connect with a Giratina onto a Guardy EX, you're in a really, really bad spot. So, that's one way to lose. And the other way to lose is just getting Path Roxanne and missing an attack. Either into a Giratina or something else. Those are the 2 main ways to lose. And so basically, yeah, you're just doing your best to try and beat those. So if you can, like, boss kill their Giratina, even if it's going down 2 prize, like, even if you have to put 5 energies on an Arcana and then you just, like, 2 of your Pokemon die immediately, it's still worth it. And also you can, like, Cresselia to get extra energies on the Arcana so that you have less damage on them when you go for... yeah, when you try and kill their Giratina, so... Let's just say about that. Fusion Mew, yeah, so you just try and get 2 kills against... You're just trying to get... you have to kill either Melwetta, Guardy, Genesect, or Mew Mew, or Melwetta, Mew Mew. Yeah, so I think the main thing is Melwetta, Mew Mew, to be honest, because it's pretty hard to hit the boss. It's more likely you just hit, like, Research and hit all your stuff. Reversal Energy is super good. You need to keep Reversal Energy because you're going to need it at some point. This is one of the best matchups for Reversal Energy. This and Single Strike Lugia, in my opinion, are the 2 best matchups for Reversal Energy. And if you actually look at this, Lugia is the 3rd most played deck? 4th most played deck behind Chien Pao. We'll get into that next. But Fusion Mew, yeah, you just want to, like, Guardy. The best thing to kill their Melwetta with, it just really depends. You can use Cresselia, you can use Guardy X as well. I wouldn't really recommend using Guardy X to kill the Melwetta. Or Ice Cube as well. You need to bench Manaphy these days because they always bench Ice Cube. Just, like, focus on benching Manaphy, it's fine, you'll be fine. Just bench Ice Cube, everything will be okay. Yeah, and so the Lugia matchup, what do you do against Lugia? I mean, Lugia matchup, the Arcana is just the most ridiculous attacker, so just set up to attack with Arcana. If they're colorless, you sometimes need to use the EX to kill their Snorlax because Arcana is so inefficient, but you still need to use Arcana sometimes. The main thing is they don't play that much disruption, so you just try to draw as much as possible, and then you're just trying to reset up your Guardy lines. So if you use Arcana to kill them, to kill their Snorlax, and they, like, kill your Snorlax back, then you have to just reset up your Guardy lines. Sometimes you have to use the EX. But only do it if you're in a, like, kind of favorable prize trade and you can still knock out the Drapion with Arcana and still be winning. Yeah, it really just depends. Yeah, how it goes. So, yeah, that's... And then Single Strike, I feel like it's easier than the other variant by a little bit. It depends. If they're running Charms, it's actually super hard to get through Snorlaxes because you can't get through them with the Guardy EX. So even though they can Drapion to respond to you, it's not really that bad. Yeah, and just, like... If they get weirder into play, you have to kill it immediately, always. It just, yeah, it's a bit annoying, but... Yeah, but usually that isn't the issue. Usually the issue is the Snorlaxes. Just getting through the Snorlaxes and then not being losing. But I think it's generally fine. Temple, if you run Temple, it's super... This is the matchup where you would run Temple for, but it's only for this matchup. So that you can get rid of their gift and, like, make it so they can't hit boss on your Guardy X. which can matter later in the game for sure. Like you Iono, Temple, get rid of Gift, and then knock them out, and then they either miss Drapion or they miss, anything. Because sometimes, if they're just attacking with Snorlax, there's some situations where you can just kill their Archeops, and it's not that bad. It's super situational, but it can be really good because it's really difficult for them to actually make a play after that. With Gen Energy, it's a bit easier because they can still go into Drapion in the turn after. But if they do that, sometimes it's fine. It really depends so much, but that's another play you can do. Yeah, those are the main things, I guess, about the Lugia matchup. Arctina, I mean, the only thing that matters is keeping your stadiums and use reversal energy when you have it. When it, yeah, and just blow up their stuff and just hope for the best. Arcana's the best attacker. Put extra energy. With these matchups, with like these three matchups, the goal is to put extra energies on your rolls. So if you have an extra energy attachment on turn 1, turn 2, just throw it on rolls. You can roll the sword to rolls as well sometimes. It's a bit risky against Mew and Lugia because the Zacian's going to die and that's not good. You can't bench it against Mew because they're going to lost city your Zacian. Yeah, and you can't beat them lost sitting your Zacian, so yeah. I mean, Octane is literally just attack with your attacks. Like, these matchups that feel so different to... These matchups feel so different to, like, these matchups. Because these matchups are based around, like, being super slow and using Cresselia, while these matchups are just, like, set up for Arcana and blow up stuff. So I guess it's, like, recognizing what your different win cons are, because, yeah. That's how that is. And then Chien Pao is, like, the middle of all three. One play you can do is, like, Psy Shot for 30 with Mew on Chien Pao. Well, there's some other interesting plays you can do that I can tell you guys about. I mean, it's all about using Arcana and trying to keep out of Cologne. You're just trying to evolve stuff as fast as possible as well. And then when you can... you have good opportunities to attack with Gardevoir EX. A lot of the time it is the best because it plays around Cologne if you don't have to put damage on your Arcanas. Attacking with Zacian as well does the same thing. You just don't want two Pokemon who play with 90 HP so they can boss Cologne and knock out two things. Because that's really what the Chien Paos are going for these days. There isn't really much else they can be doing. Their list can be built around. It's always what their list is built around. And so, yeah. It is kind of an attack with your attacks matchup. You can kill Excalibur if they run out of energies on board, obviously, but that's just a Chien Pao main thing. They're super weak to Chien Pao, to Excalibur. They're also super weak to Iono. It just depends on the build they're running. Like turn 2 Ionos can be super strong against them as well if they build up big on turn 1, which sometimes happens. Not really that often. It depends. If they're going second, they can Irida and like set up with just Irida, so then they get to like 8 card hands and like double Chien Pao sometimes. The thing is, they build hands really easily, so that's not really true to be honest. Them having extra energies in hand is annoying, but it's not that bad. So like Ionoing, you're basically just like making them have less energies, which isn't really that big of a deal to be honest. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, yeah, and like the early turns are super annoying with if you get Cologne bossed, but yeah, go Manaphy ASAP. You need Manaphy. Also, the thing I found for the Lost Zone Chien Pao matchups is that this is how you should do it. You should get 2 Rolts and then Manaphy. That should be the order in which you get your basics, because yeah, 1 Rolt, 1 Manaphy usually isn't enough, and like it's really scary against boss at just killing your Rolts. But if you get 2 Rolts and no Manaphy, sometimes it's okay, and sometimes it survives. Sometimes it holds. If they miss Greninja, but yeah, you're in a worse spot with 1 Rolts, 1 Manaphy than just 2 Rolts and pray they don't hit it, and then you can get Manaphy after that before you get the 3rd Rolts, because 2 Rolts is usually enough to survive on, and then you can get the Manaphy. So, all right, that'll be it for the matchup guide. Yeah, thanks guys for watching. Sub to the second channel.